Hello, everybody. Yes, it is the dark conservatarian, conservative, libertarian, Christian, capitalist, political ranting edgelord back here with moderating another debate. This time between an AnCap and a conservative. Now, there was no specific topic chosen for this one, but most likely we'll be talking about the different perceptions of capitalism and economics in general, and possibly foreign policy. But it probably will be kind of open on what the subject is about. But anyway, I have with me Corey and
Hello.
Geekish Gamer Show. So
Oh, hi.
introduce yourselves, guys.
Hi.
Go ahead,
Uh,
Ricky.
okay. Um, hi, my name's Ricky. Richard, if you want to call me that. I'm a core conservative. Uh, Started off very liberal in my early ages. Probably specifically when I was about 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. But we're not going to count 12 because I think that when you're 12, you really just getting there. You don't really have a specific ideology. I mean, you literally just 2 years ago wanted to be a cat, wanted to be a dog, and wanted to be other things. So I think you should hold on your stances about what you want to be. But relatively around 15, 16, I would say I was garnered towards being very liberal, used emotion for a lot of specific stances I was in. I remember when I took a specific test from the political typology quiz that my teacher, Mr. Reed, gave us from the Pew Research Center in government class. It showed that I was a Democrat. But the thing about it was every single policy or every single thing that came up to me on the quiz that was supposed to answer, I didn't even know a good relative enough of, so I just used my emotion. Like, do you disagree with poverty? Yes. That's because it's bad. And do you
All right. Sorry, I hate to cut you off, Richard, but it's being kind of dragged on a little bit too long.
Okay, sorry. Okay. And
You hit him with the word salad.
sorry. Okay, and you start tossing it up. Oh, there you go. No, I'm joking. So yeah, that's it. That's all. So I'm just a core conservative black guy. That's all I am.
All right, Corey.
Well, I'm a AnCap. I'm very, very, very capitalistic. I love capitalism, and uh, I'm an atheist, and I'm also African American.
Woo! I'm joking.
About it.
All
So,
right. So, who would like to go first for this debate?
Ricky, you go ahead.
And
I challenge you.
all right, so I got the timer set up here, and just explain of what the differences are and what kind of led up with this very quickly, and explain why you have the said beliefs that you guys are disagreeing on. Anyway, you ready, Ricky?
So basically, just tell you why I'm a conservative and where the differences of how I have a different opinion.
Why you disagree with me?
Why you disagree with specifically Corey?
Okay.
The
Yeah.
issues that you say you want to talk with them on,
Okay.
and why you hold them. But
All
anyway,
right.
you ready?
Yeah.
All right, 5 minutes starting now.
Well, Corey tends to be, like you just said before, a pro, very, very, very pro, ultra capitalist of capitalism, and an anarchist as well. Uh, Me specifically, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. It's not something I hold typically to my political ideology. Firsthand, because I believe that I love capitalism. I'm pro capitalism all the way, except for uh, there has to be some regulation, in my opinion, depending on what it is specifically, uh, in individual cases or mandates. But I have always believed in lower taxes, and I've always believed, so far since I've been conservative, that regulation for private industries should be very different in specific cases, including raising taxes, marginal tax rate, corporate tax rates, and specifically things like that. But also with the anarchist theme, which is much more of a which I guess is seen by in my opinion, and I think I need to do a little bit more research on that. But it's always been depicted as a much more, well, I don't give a fuck type of feel, anarchist type of thing. How the media always portrays the anarchist, the person who doesn't really care about any specific thing or anyone else but himself, and he hates government rule and the government, and get the government out of the lives and its impact on society, which if that's the case, I don't believe in as well. I've always felt that the government, it should be a platform in which people use to get off of their aspiring dreams or their aspiring pursuits of happiness and things like that, but not as a use or utilization to use them all the time and every single day, to be handheld by the government, but to not be a teacher to which it can literally teach you, and you can guide off and do what you want to do with the rest of your life. So in that regard, this is just the two minor things, or just two major things that I don't agree with when it comes to Corey. Other than that, I've always felt that me and him have a common understanding in government and things like that. We just have very different, similar ways, or very different ways of trying to get to those specific things. Uh, when we talk about capitalism and taxation, he was a person who literally said that taxation is theft, and I have really disagreed with him at first. But after doing a little bit more research and understanding it a little bit more, taxation is theft. That's why I'm kind of lenient to give him that anarchist. I fully disagree with you type of vibe, since I was like that towards the taxation is theft type of deal. So yeah, you are correct. Taxation is theft. Just by the means of why specifically things are, how do we affect that, and how do we change that specific thing, I think is what is the difference between me and him. Well, I feel that taxation is theft, and that well, if taxation is theft and you think it's theft, then obviously we should get rid of taxation. Um, Me, on my personal hands and belief, don't believe that we should get rid of taxation, because I think it's become, obviously, you know, my Twitter name is 2036 President, but I think the thing about it is that when I look at it as a reality, realistic perspective, there is no, in my opinion, at this moment, because of how long it's been in government policy and in terms of norms, getting rid of taxation. I think it's just a thing that every American complains about, even me, and at the end of the day, it still pays it at the end of the day. And even though it's wrong, and I believe it's very wrong, that you get arrested if you don't want to give the government your money that you've worked for, hardcore, and you've worked for, it's just my opinion overall. The realities versus the simplistic things I would like to happen. So that's all. That's pretty much all.
All right, with 1 minute left, Geekish Gamer Show withdraws the floor to Corey for him to give out his 5-minute opening statement. Corey, you ready?
Yep.
All right, 5 minutes are starting right now.
Okay. Well, ultimately, as an anarchist and as a capitalist, I view Ricky's motions, and not emotions, his opinions on capitalism to be very leftist and socialistic. Ricky is like Tucker Carlson. He thinks innovation should be stagnated. He put out 9 edicts on Twitter, speaking about what he believes as he should do as a president. And in that, he wants to he doesn't understand how the economy would work if you invest into NASA, right? To be more go to Mars, that's going to be billions, maybe even trillions of dollars to be invested into Mars. But he also wants to make the U.S. educational system #1. He also he also wants to stop innovation, to protect jobs, like the truck driver thing. If self-driving trucks start hitting the roads, 2 million people are going to be unemployed, and that's families that are going to be hurt. He doesn't understand that innovation is a slow process. It's not just an instant. The moment a semi truck is self-driven, it's not going to just unemploy 2 million people. It's going to slowly switch the job market from truck drivers to self-driving cars and their operators. It's just he believes many older corporatist ideals, and I just wanted to really speak to him and on a platform outside of us talking, but more in front of a live audience, to really put maybe my ideals on the line and really question myself, but also put his on the line and make him question himself, like he said on the taxation is theft theme, and different ideals I've spoken to him.
Was that it?
That's all.
All right, with 2.5 minutes, Corey withdraws his time, and we'll switch on to Geekish Gamer, and I think we'll go ahead and give you both 5-minute responding statements. So, Richard, you ready?
Yes, of course.
All right, 5 minutes are starting now.
Okay. As in terms of basically what I was saying with the nine specific actions I would oppose, or not oppose, but I would give as president. The only the difference of what, or basically what I was doing there at that time was, well, as the text of my Twitter says, I want to be president in 2036. I would like to be president. I would like to run for president of the United States of America. But the thing about it was that I just placed myself in a role of what it would be like in 2036, what it would be like, and what do I think would be there to begin with, what I think I would see. And there would be very specific things I would see. And some of these things I would see were some of the things that I named during the whole entire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of what I was naming. One of the first things I named was basically helping America transition to a renewable energy efficient workforce. I don't know if that came across as what you thought it was, but that's not what it meant. Obviously, when it comes to anything that has to be energy wise, I oppose Democrats and I oppose people who are on the left, specifically about how they think that because climate change is happening, and because climate change is happening at a rapid rate, as they keep calling it, and that no one believes it, conservatives or Republicans believe that that climate change is happening, that basically we don't care a lot and they don't know. I actually did a project about climate change and renewable energy a long time ago, and I asked my teacher one day, I was like, why is it that this is a renewable energy technology? What is the problem? It's renewable energy. You can use it for a very long period of time. Why can't they just make the transition like this? And my teacher was saying greed. And at the time I was agreeing with them because I was liberal. But now I understood that it was not greed. It was the transition. And I agreed with you. And I agree with you on this. Is the reason why I understand the economic system so well. You cannot go from over 200 decades of basic, or decades, or 200 decades, or centuries of using a fossil fuel, and then all of a sudden overnight say, oh my God, we're making renewable energy technology, everyone should transfer, everyone should change. My teacher was talking about how we should give tax incentives to corporations and things like that. And I was like, even at that pace, I don't think corporations would still want to do that, because where the money is at is where the fossil fuel is at. The transition to making that is very, very hard. That's the reason why number one was help America transition to a renewable energy efficient workforce. The one thing that has to be understood is that basically after we transition, or if we're transferring from a fossil fuel industry to a renewable energy industry, you have to be an idiot, or you have to be dumb to understand that basically what you're trying to say is corporations don't want to change because of fossil fuel. They're just so greedy of fossil fuel. Well, fossil fuel is getting scarce. It's getting very scarce, actually, by the way. And as we know, it's getting very scarce. It may be very, 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 evident that we're going to lose it in a long time. So what would happen, and what corporations do? What corporations would do is something that would be very, very smart. Corporations would literally get the supposed fossil fuel, and they would usually store it, and they would transfer that energy that they were making from the fossil fuel to basically making it into cleaner, renewable energy. It makes sense because as a corporation, if you want to stay afloat, you want to make more money over where renewable energy is at and be able to keep your main source of profit, which is that fossil fuel. The transition would be very, very easy if you were, depending on the regulatory policy. I never tried to give a president a credit on economic or the economy. I try to give them credit on them trying to basically make a environment where the free market can flourish and prosper. And if that's the case, then that's what I would do. As for other regards to basically things like help reform a national education system so that we can be number one.
1 minute.
I would do that very, very evidently. I think our education system is something that has been lacking. The K-12 program is a terrible, No Child Left Behind is a terrible program. I think it should be very different. Same thing with affirmative action. But other things, just like, I don't mean to take anybody's jobs, or I wouldn't even do that to begin with. Just things like regulation for things that are coming, which is automation, should be taken to heat, just like how there's regulation when it comes to car driving, or regulation when it comes to owning a gun or something specifically in that environment. Regulation would obviously be evident if needed, if basically we were to let AI all of a sudden just take
20
apart
seconds.
whole entire fabric of going on a road and driving and just letting them deliver and drive cars. So that's it.
All right. With 12 seconds to spare, we will move on to Corey's 5-minute rebuttal statement. Corey, you ready?
Yes, I am.
Starting now.
Ricky, first off, stop Jordan Peterson me. No more word salads. All right. When you talk about free markets with regulations, makes no sense. Regulations and free markets should not be in the same sentence unless you're talking about deregulating these markets. For a market to be free, it cannot be within the boundaries of regulatory systems. That makes no sense. When you talked about moving the US into a more renewable system, you went on a rant about corporations. Corporations have nothing to do with the protectionist policies that one of your favorite presidents, Donald Trump, has put in place that. Oh no! Not only has he put him in place, but he made him worse. Obama made him worse. Trump made him even more worse. If you want the system of the U.S. to be moved into a more renewable energy sources, because non-renewable energy is running out, like you said, it's running scarce, which is not. I don't know where you got that from. It's not running scarce. The only time it's running scarce is when you blindly believe it's running scarce. Fracking is still a thing. We can recycling plastics, rubber, and more oil-based products are still a thing. We're not going to run out of non-renewable energy anytime soon. Renewable energy should only be spoken about by governments when they are talking about deregulating them and getting rid of the protectionist policies put on them by the state. Trump has allowed more tariffs to be put on solar panel sales. All right, that's the thing that's needed for solar panels to work. If you want the U.S. to move into a more renewable energy source, you let the people do it themselves. If I want to use oil myself, who's to say the state has the ability to tell me what to do with my oil, my gas? If I want to do whatever I please, who cares, right? You're forcing the U.S. to move into renewable energy. It's garbage. You saying the U.S. Isn't number one in school systems in schooling? It's crazy. Public schools are garbage, but when you look at private, why are they so much better? Private colleges, private elementary, private high schools, and private middle schools, they all outdo the public versions of themselves. Why is that? They're number one, but public schools aren't. So you're going to force the public schools and the private schools to be on the same level. So you're going to go into private businesses and force them to adhere to your system. Are you China? Do you want to be the next China? You seem like you want to be the next China when it comes to things like that. Ricky, explain to me this really fast. When you talked about making stagnating innovation, you said the following, right? Create regulatory policy that will be needed, and if robust automation starts to take over in jobs that were heavily controlled by humans. Why do you think that is capitalism? That is not capitalism. That is socialism. If you want automation to not be taken over human jobs that were mostly done by humans, do not do things that will force automation to take over. You forcing companies to do what you want will force more and more jobs to lose. Look at the minimum wage rising. More and more people are going to switch to automation. I go to McDonald's, they have robots taking orders now. I'd rather go to them because they're faster. I don't got to worry about attitudes, but that's still because the minimum wage is rising. If you
1 minute.
If you really think you represent capitalism, you would not want these regulatory policies to be in place, along with protectionism that many presidents, and you would agree with, Reagan and Trump and different Republicans have done. Even Obama, has. Go ahead.
Wait. So you're done now?
Yes.
Okay. I will move up the timer so we can go to 30-minute. Actually, no, we'll make this 20-minute cross-examination. Then we'll save the rest of the time for addressing the chat and extended cross-examination. But all right, so I noticed that the passion is starting to like increase in this stream. I'm not going to tone police anyone, but I forgot to tell you guys off air that there will be no personal attacks or insults on my debate. And if you do, you'll be given a strike. If you get 3 strikes, your opponent will get 5 minutes of uninterrupted time to make an argument. That'll be the official penalty right there. And also, I would urge you as well not to insult or personally attack my live audience, because I have had that happen once in a debate before. But anyway, yeah, one of the my debaters decided to insult somebody in my chat, and I just did not appreciate that. But anyway, 20 minutes cross-examination. Whoever wants to go first, go now.
Ricky.
Okay. Well, the argument that basically there's no that the carbon or the just fossil fuel emissions they're everyone knows at this point they are finite resources. These resources that we're talking about here are finite. They're not going to be around here forever. Everyone knows at the end of the day they are going to get scarce. They are going to get scarce, and they're going to get higher in cost because of their scarcity. It's just how like an economy goes. So we're going to have to look at a new renewable resource, and that transition, as I was talking about, was not going to be forceful. It's a transition that we try to help smooth and curb. The thing about it is that what has to be realized is that, and also one thing I like to point out is I agree with you. I was never even with Donald Trump when it came to tariffs. And I'm sometimes Trump guy. I'm not a full-on Trump supporter. But the thing about it was that the tariffs that he imposed, specifically on China, were stupid. And then when we got the fallback from it, which turned our 4.1% GDP economy into a lower GDP, you can start seeing the reason why the tariffs didn't make any sense, and especially the stock market crash. But the stock market decline that we had recently. Now, the thing about it is that when you take out that, we're not forcing people to do anything, or we're not I wouldn't even force people to do anything. As I said before, I believe I'm a capitalist, but I believe in specific regulation to specific things. It's a mixed economy. It's socialism and capitalism. This economy.
That's not capitalism.
What are you trying to say? It's not capitalism.
Capitalism is the voluntary exchange of goods and services by 2 or more parties in a free market. If you think socialism mixing with a free market is okay, you are crazy.
Okay, what socialist aspect?
Calm it down, Corey.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize.
What socialistic
You're
aspect?
crazy.
What socialistic aspect am I putting into the free market economy?
You just said a mixed economy is okay. That's not. If it's a mixed economy.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying I was saying the realism. We are living in a mixed economy. It's socialism and capitalism.
And it's horrible. Corporations.
I wouldn't say that
control
the wealthiest country in the world. So
okay, give Corey some time to respond now.
Okay, so if you think mixed economies are okay, right? Why on earth am I paying $3,000 for a medical visit? You want to know why? Because the state. I'm sorry?
You have a bad healthcare system.
No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We have a bad healthcare system. Why?
Because of some of the socialistic aspects that are included in.
But that's okay?
No.
No. But that's part of a mixed economy that you want.
It's part of the mixed economy that I find that's realistic. Even though at the end of the day, we can start talking about which aspect of the health that or the Medicare, or the care that we have or healthcare that we have compared to other countries in the world, we can start debating about that. But the thing about it is, yes, I agree with you that at the end of the day, you should not be paying for lots of money just to go get a checkup. You shouldn't even pay lots of money for when the ambulance comes up to you. But that's due to the socialistic aspect of what is in the which is in the healthcare that we have. That's why I never say that the healthcare system we have is perfect, but it's damn near better than the majority of countries in the world.
Is that not part of the mixed economy? So you're okay? You're okay with it being mediocre?
No.
You're okay. Are you okay with different products? Pharmaceutical companies hold monopolies on production and the manufacturing of different medications because the state allows them to hold intellectual property rights on medications. They banned biosimilars. If you want the knockoff copy, you're not even allowed. You can't even import them in from Canada. You can't import them in from any country because they're not safe. They're not FDA approved. But these companies hold the monopolies, and they're able to knock up the price and force people to buy them because we live in a mixed economy.
So
that
question I have. Okay, so you're obviously all the way pro, if not ultra capitalist, correct?
I'm a capitalist. There's no ultra capitalist. I'm a capitalist.
Okay. So you're you're a pro-capitalist person. That means every aspect of capitalism you like, and you don't even like regulation or policy that has to be garnered towards regulation when it comes to capitalism.
Capitalism is about free markets. Regulation is not free.
Yes. Agreed. That's what you're correct. This is but the thing I have to ask you a quick question of is you like capitalism so much, and like we were talking about before, the differences between socialism and communism, and how we were talking about that, and how we talked about why we don't like socialism, why we don't like communism, but when it came to capitalism, it seemed like there was a thing you just couldn't dislike about it. You like it, and it's most likely probably because you're pro-capitalist. But there is obviously a problem with capitalism that is one of the symptoms, or one of the cons of capitalism is the monopolies. What is your opinion on those?
Thank you for falling into a trap. Monopolies are not part of capitalism. Monopolies are part of the state. The state is the only one that allows monopolies to happen. Can you name one instance in history that a company, one corporation that the state allows, corporations are product of the state, one corporation that controlled 100% of the market? Can you name one time the antitrust laws actually found someone who controlled 100% of a market? You cannot. Rockefeller didn't. What's his name? JP Morgan didn't. Microsoft didn't. No case in antitrust will find someone who owned 100% of the market. Go ahead.
Correct. But what is the problem with a monopoly?
There's nothing wrong with monopolies.
There's nothing
because
wrong
monopolies don't exist. Because let's say this: if there is a monopoly, let's say we're in AnCap right now, and there is a monopoly. How do you think they got there? There's no state for them to lobby to and allow them to stagnate competition and allow them to hold their own monopolies on different production. There's no state there for them to piggyback off. How did they get there? How did they control 100% of the market?
They couldn't.
No, they control it. They control 100%.
100% of the market.
They control 100% of the market in their area. Let's say that they hold a monopoly. They're the only Ricky's button-up shirts store in all of Ohio. You control all the button-up shirt stores in all Ohio, right? Mm-hmm. You own 100% of the market. How did you get there?
By basically being able to sell a great consumer good that everyone wanted to buy. Specifically, I guess everyone wanted to buy it. That's the only way you could ever get to 100%.
Okay, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with having a good product?
Nothing. But there's something wrong with being able to have a lot of power.
You don't have power. How do you have power? What power would a monopoly have?
Okay, well, they can influence a lot of things.
Okay, let's say what do they say? It. What do they influence? Name one thing they
can influence a lot of government.
It's a state.
Very person that shows the exact formulation of what I'm talking about.
I'm talking about in a stateless society because thank you. Oh my God, Ricky, thank you. You just said they can in monopolies. Okay, quote unquote monopolies that the government creates because governments create monopolies. They gave these people,
You
power.
said government create monopolies?
Yeah, governments create monopolies.
Wouldn't the lack of government interference in a free market economy
be
the creation of a monopoly to begin with?
How? Ricky, okay.
That's the reason why Sherman or that J.D. Rockefeller was even able to get up to that point. Is the reason why he was because no one ever interfered with him at all.
He did no. The only reason that he was hit with a monopoly, and fun fact, he still owns stake in all those companies that split up his oil company. He still owned those companies. But okay, so let's say this: he was hit with a monopoly. in a stateless society, in an anarchist society, what part of that is wrong? Okay, he has a monopoly. He has the best product. Everyone wants to buy him, not because he influenced the state, because in a state, like you said, they can influence the state. What part of a stateless society is going to get influenced?
Okay, the question one more time. I think because that's the question you're not answering. The problem with you were able to pick out the significant problems and the cons of socialism and communism, but is there a con to capitalism? Do you see? Is there a con to capitalism?
You just wait. You said I didn't answer the question. You started talking about monopolies. You didn't, after I asked you a question, you leave the question. Again, there's nothing wrong with capitalism because of capitalism. What?
I was about to say, let's not talk at the same time, was all I was going to say. Anyway, go on.
And I told you, monopolies are not part of capitalism. Capitalism will not allow monopolies because monopolies cannot form. And capitalism, having 100% of the market means you
10
control
minutes.
everything. 100% of a market. If it's a stateless society, there are many markets, many different places to go to. I'm not just gonna buy Ricky's button-up shirts because Ricky makes good shirts. They make good shirts down the street that have pockets on the left side. Ricky don't even have pockets on the left side. He got it on the right. I don't use that. It's just, if a monopoly forms in a stateless society, they have 100% of the market. I ask you, how did they get there? They make a good product. If, let's say, that happens, there is nothing wrong with that. Even with monopolies in a corporatist society, there's nothing wrong with that monopoly if they make a good product. If they earn that monopoly, you cannot earn a monopoly. You can only buy a monopoly with the state. J.P. Rockefeller did not have a monopoly. He did not own 100% of a market. He owned a fraction of it. Just because you're good at something.
How much fraction did he own?
He owned about 70%.
That's not like almost the major. That's not even almost like the majority of percentage.
Was he making a good product? Is there something wrong with that, Ricky?
There's nothing wrong, but the question I'm asking here is that was he making the majority of the specific trade he was in?
No, I'm asking you. Yes, he was 70%. But what's wrong with that? What's wrong with being the big guy? What's wrong with being the top dog?
There's nothing wrong with having a great product. The problem comes in with is with the influence that the power of the how much you make brings.
You can't influence a state in a stateless society if the state does not exist.
But the question about what we're talking about here now in the 21st century.
In corporate, so you're speaking in corporatism, which the one thing I advocate against. I apologize for cutting you off, but you're saying in corporatism, the state can be influenced by corporations, which is yes. Corporations and the state and monopolies are not going to be part of capitalism because they need free markets. Corporatism is the mix of big business and big government. Big government is not capitalist.
Okay, so you're asking me basically what? Okay, so you're basically asking me. Well,
you asked me the question.
Okay, I know, but you came back in rebuttal and basically said, "Well, what is the problem with a monopoly?" And the problem with a monopoly. I mean, first we get the definition.
You said because the influence, right? You said
the of a monopoly is the exclusive possession or control of the supply or trade in a commodity or service. Now, this being said, when it comes to J.D. Rockefeller, when it comes to a lot of other people who make a lot of goods and services and own almost the majority or a good exclusive possession or control of the supply or the trade that they're giving, they have a possibility of being able to reflect that upon doing goods and making little buddy things with people who are in the federal government. The problem that I have with a free market trade economy, and the reason why I see some specific things being done to regulate some things that are in the economy, same reason why there's antitrust laws that Theodore Roosevelt obviously brought up during his tenure as president, was the specific reason was because they have the genuine, which is the thing of human nature, which I think a lot of people seem to forget about when it comes to capitalism. But again, like I said before, but either way you look at it, capitalism has the tendency to fluctuate those things and make it even come out to a good little poop. What I mean by that is even if a person is greedy, even if a person is bad, well, the consumer will be able to show that through what they purchase, through what they sell, and throughout that, at the end of the day, if they are not doing well, if they are bad, then they will go out of business. If they are good, they will not go out of business. The thing about it, like I said, at the end of the day, is that a mixed economy, to me, in America, that we have, is a good economy. The only difference, the only argument we get into a mixed economy is how much the socialism aspect should take on the mixed economy, and how much the capitalism or capitalistic aspect should take on the mixed economy. Should there be lower regulation or higher regulation? Should we lower tariffs or raise tariffs? Should we lower taxes or raise taxes? The
None.
question that has to be answered is basically, well, why don't you have a? It seems like you don't have a problem with that con, the monopoly con, the con in which basically they go in and they are able to influence specific aspects and key things.
One more time. One more time.
The federal government system.
One more time. Monopolies are not aspects of capitalism. They are aspects of corporatism. Do you know what corporatism is? Do you want me to tell you what corporatism is? Again, the one thing that has been in the United States for centuries. Do you want me to tell you what corporatism is?
Tell me what corporatism is.
The mix of big business and big government. That means corporations influencing the government. I'm going to make a video about corporations in a couple months. Not a couple months. In a couple of weeks.
5 minutes.
Okay, so really fast. Corporations are products of the state. And then the state allows these corporations to then buy into the state and stagnate competition and hold monopolies on different aspects. Production, trade, different parts of the economy. That is not capitalism. Capitalism needs free markets. If corporations, which are not part of capitalism, they're products of the state, again, they are able to influence the government. Like you keep asking me, what if they influence the government? That makes no sense if you're talking about capitalism, because those would not be in capitalism. That's not capitalism. You're a corporatist. You're speaking on corporatism.
The question has to be asked is how does a whole entire a monopoly, okay? A monopoly is created how? How is a monopoly created?
When someone is giving exclusive rights over a market by the state.
Or when someone takes over, so basically when someone takes over a significant percentage of the market, right?
The entire market. If I own Ricky, if I own 80% of the candy moving through Columbus, is that a monopoly?
Do you own a good majority?
So if it's just a significant amount, I own 80%. Is that a monopoly? And explain to me, how is that a monopoly? I don't have exclusive rights. 20% of the market is still competing with me.
Okay, go on.
Is it a monopoly? I asked you a question.
You own 80% of it.
Yeah.
Well, basically, wasn't you just saying that they had control the majority of it, or all of it, 100% of it?
No, that's 80%. 20% is still competing against me.
You said monopoly was when they controlled 100% of it, correct?
Yeah. You say it's when they control a significant amount. 80% is a significant amount. Is that a monopoly?
I thought you said it was 100%.
No, I asked you. You're the one who made the claim that a monopoly is a significant amount, not 100%.
If I may interject here, I think he is asking a question based off of your own perceived logic of what a monopoly is, Richard.
Okay, well, no. That was the case, then no.
Then retract your statement that a monopoly is a significant amount of a market being held. Retract it right now, because you just said that a monopoly is a significant amount. 80% significant amount. 20% is still competing against me for that market. I could fall anytime. Do you think that's a monopoly? No, right?
But you have an exclusive possession of it.
If it's exclusive, why is 20% of it not mine?
Because it's non-exclusive.
Then it's not. What the fuck, bro? Do you hear what you're saying right now?
Yes. The again, like the problem I keep trying to ask you is, what is the con? Is there a con to capitalism to you?
No, because capitalism is freedom to voluntarily exchange goods and services by two or more parties in a free market. What part of that would be a con?
But there's cons to socialism, correct?
Yes, because socialism is forcing you to adhere to the ideology of socialism. Capitalism, your corporatism is forcing you to adhere to the mixed economy. Capitalism is the voluntary. You have to choose to actually exchange goods and services. Human nature is capitalism. We've been doing capitalism for years. Ricky, if I say, hey, I trade you a piece of candy for your pencil, that's capitalism. That's the voluntary exchange of goods and services by two or more parties in a free market.
Okay, but even at the end of the day, even though I agree with you, some of the pros. I mean,
1 minute.
Incentivizes innovation. Firms they incentivize. Corporations get incentivization to become more efficient. Consumers.
Corporations are not part of capitalism.
Wait. Let Rich finish.
I apologize.
Consumers have a free to choose products that they desire, and it prevents large bureaucratic government, and there's better alternatives. But even at the day, when you say there's no cons, there are cons to capitalism. There's firms that can gain monopolies and power and exploit consumers. There's firms with power which can pay low wages. There's
30 seconds.
Externalities that can damage the environment. They tend to lead to large inequality. They prone to boom and burst. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen. I just named like about 5 things that have a con to do with capitalism. So
all right, I'm gonna let Corey respond very quickly, and then we'll go to the question and extended cross-examination. Corey.
All right. First off, there's nothing wrong with inequality. Inequality means nothing. If you look at capitalism, and you see that if someone has $20 million and I have 21,000, what is wrong with that? Do you want me to take money from them? Are you trying to read? Wait, you gotta let me speak, bro. You want to? You're speaking as you want to redistribute wealth. You said massive inequality. Extreme inequality, like in India, is only perpetuated by the socialist policies of their mixed corporatist economy. The cons of capitalism, like corporations, which I told you cannot exist in capitalism because they're products of the state. They're limited liability companies. Limited liability is legally allowed in the state. You cannot.
Right.
I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So we're about 40 minutes into this debate, maybe a little bit longer because I did not time it from the very start of this debate. But we got about 20 minutes left until it's like the 1 hour that Richard wanted to go no longer. Then either we can go for 20 minutes of cross-examination and examining the chat, or just 10 minutes of that and then 5-minute closing statements right after that.
Ricky, you want to extend the time, or do you want to do what he said?
Yeah. What?
Extend the time.
All right, we'll go for at least an hour and 10 minutes, if not longer, if you guys really want to insist. But I don't want to go on too long because I've been kind of itching to want to actually start watching The Orville on Hulu.
Oh, yeah, bro. Definitely watch that.
But anyway, so first question, and probably the only question of this chat, is from Nate the Voluntarist. Question for Geekish Gamer Show. Do you agree with Tucker Carlson's opinion on capitalism? Tucker believes in the Teddy Roosevelt model of the economy.
Okay, what is the Teddy Roosevelt model of the economy? I'm a very, very knowledgeable in that.
I cannot remember exactly what roughly I have read regarding Teddy Roosevelt, but basically what he did was some social democratic, like socialistic type of economic policies. I remember FDR a bit better. I mean, he started rationing metal and paper for the war effort, for one thing, but I can't remember exactly what Teddy Roosevelt did. So I don't know if you want to explain it a bit better, Corey, to help clarify it for Rich, but yeah.
Okay. Teddy wants the government. He wants the government to use resources to help the government achieve better economic and social areas. So he's
like a progressive.
Yeah, he's socialist. He's a socialist. He's advocating for your mixed economy.
Like I've said before, a mixed economy is a mixture of capitalism and socialism with different aspects of where the capitalism is enriched and where the aspect of socialism is enriched.
Oh,
all right. So,
the question was, do you agree with Tucker Carlson on the economy?
No, not in that aspect. If that's what we're talking about now.
But you through the whole discussion,
I'm about to try to explain to you about your mixed economy.
All right.
Wait.
So the prime question was answered right now. He does not agree with the Tucker Carlson what Tucker Carlson believes about capitalism. Let me see if I can like find something else, because more of these are arguments and actual questions. Well, actually, I take that back. Nate, the voluntarist, has another question. Government is the biggest polluter of the country. Why depend on them to protect the environment?
Polluter? We're the
Yes.
biggest.
Yes. The U.S. pollutes. The U.S., for example, it drops like tons of trash into the ocean.
I don't agree with that.
You
That
don't.
was your trash statement, but I don't agree that we're the largest polluter. I think the largest polluter is China or India.
No, he's saying government. Government is not the U.S. Government.
Oh.
The state. Us. China is the largest polluter. U.S. is one of the largest polluters.
Okay.
He's not saying the U.S. government is specifically. He's saying that the U.S. the state is.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a slightly vague question, but just to clarify, Richard, you believe that the government has? Do you actually believe that the government has to intervene to prevent climate change, supposedly climate change?
No, doesn't have to intervene.
No.
It just
Okay.
has,
Well, then
just has to create specific. Just when it comes to, I mean, does it have to? What do you mean by intervene? Like,
intervene as in like put carbon taxes,
No.
for example,
no.
or put these high restrictions on cars to like
Yeah, no.
forcefully decrease the weight of the make of the cars to make it more gas efficient, for example.
I don't.
Tariffs on oil and coal.
Yeah, no.
Terrorists on coal and oil, a la coal or whatever. I'm sorry.
Cola cock bar.
Cola cock bar. Okay.
Okay, Rick.
Well, okay. I got a question here from Sleepy Projections. Last I checked, Sleepy Projections is not an anarcho-capitalist himself, so this might be more of a question geared towards Corey than Richard, whereas Nate's questions were more geared towards Richard. But Sleepy Projections asks, if there is no government for business to influence, wouldn't they just create their own government using their power? I'm curious.
Well, okay.
I mean, if you look at the chat, you can like read it yourself.
I seen it. When it comes to the state, okay, the state has unlimited funds. It prints its own money. It forces people to then pay back that money it printed. It's able to use its power and force and coercion to stay afloat. If a business, let's say Apple, wanted to become another state, they would need money. No one, and I repeat, no one would buy Apple's products if they're forcing people to be in their state. They would need to pay their military. They would need to then have people still flowing in money. Apple would not
What
be
the
able
heck? He
to
just
stay
left.
afloat.
Oh,
Sorry about that. I don't know what the hell just happened. All I did was go. I was trying to look through the YouTube, the comment section, but I can't do it on my
All right, here's the link right here for the stream browser. Put it in the group chat. There it is.
But as I was saying, war is costly. War costs money. You can't, if you want to force people into your state, you would need a lot of money. The U.S. spends how much? How much does the U.S. spend on its budgets, Ricky? You know how much?
When it comes to what?
The budget, the yearly budget.
We're obviously talking trillions. I don't know specifically though.
I think it's like 2.2 trillion or something like that. It's a lot. It's a lot of money the U.S. spends, and that's in the negative. The U.S. is $21 trillion in debt. Do you think any company could handle that much debt trying to form their state? No company could. They could. Let's say Apple decided to create their own currency, Apple Coin. Okay, they're forcing people into their state. Who's going to use that? Who's going to use Apple Coin? Who's going to accept Apple Coin? No company can create their own state like the state can, because companies and states are two different things. One is able to force people. One is able to control people. The other needs people. They both need people. It's just they can't. One can't handle forcing people. The other can. That's why, you know, the state is ready and willing to just march into our house and start taking our guns, or excuse me, or force discrimination onto everyone, or just do different things because the state can and people allow it to. If a business start doing that, watch how badly that business will be hurt. Apple enforcers, their little army that they could possibly form, wouldn't even last that long. Probably last a year before they fall and run out of money. That's how a company would not a state a company could not form another state. Money. Look at the debt of any state and you'll see.
I just got one question, one kind of rather silly question. Like, how old are you, Corey, if I may ask?
I'm 18.
18. Okay, so we got a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old that both have deeper voices than me, an almost 24-year-old.
Hear me? I'm 18, by the way.
You're 18 now? Okay, I thought you were still currently 17, as I've been, like, browsing your channel a very quick bit.
Happy belated birthday, bro. My fault. I didn't mean to miss it.
Simple. Don't ban guns. I'm going to have to, like, watch that later. But back to the chat here. Nate asks, and this might be a rather easy question for both of you, do we need an energy department?
No.
No.
All right. And
do we need the Fed?
You talking about the Federal Reserve? I mean, definitely not the Federal Reserve. Okay, I'm not supposed to be interjecting. I'm not.
My fault, Darkon. I'll start getting to a conversation with you.
All right. Do we? Oh, well. Speaking of the Fed, do we need a central bank? Asks Nate. Why or why not?
Yes, Ricky. Do we need a central bank?
Do we need a central?
I believe we don't. Central banks are just another monopoly the state has. That they allow corporations to buy into. Ricky, I want you to go look up who has money, who owns the Fed, because the people don't.
I mean, it does. Well, we can't say. I mean, because it has been introduced to us. It does play a significant role in the economy. I mean, it stimulates growth and controls inflation in the country.
Ricky.
Yeah.
Do you think we need the central bank? You think we need the Fed?
I think I'm not very well. I don't think I'm a well of an expert in that position to make that decision.
So you don't want to answer the question because you don't want to sound ignorant.
My answer is that I don't know, and I would like someone who is I would like to research more to do that answer. So yeah, I'm going to go with your answer. Yes.
Ron Paul will tell you. Didn't you watch some videos about him? Ron Paul would definitely tell you.
Oh, Ron Paul about
the Fed. He's probably one of the most famous people that advocate for the Fed. I have a question for you, Ricky.
Yes, Corey.
Can I ask him, Darkon? Can I ask him a question? Is that okay?
Well, of course.
All right. Do you believe that the people represent the government?
We live in a republic, so yes, I would agree.
Okay. Do you think the Jews represented the republic, the Kaiser Republic, when Hitler took the power?
Oh.
Because do not forget, that was elected officials voting for elected officials. No, the people voting for the majority voting for the elected officials. And don't forget, the people make up the state. Like you said. Do you think the blacks who were segregated in South Africa, North America, Canada,
now we're talking about something different
Britain,
from some other compared to America,
Jamaica, Spain, Germany, do you think they represent the state? Those are all republics. Do they represent the state? Do the Native Americans who are citizens of the United States of America killed, massacred, thrown aside, do they represent the state?
I would assume no.
No. No, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Do you think democracy is right or a republic?
I think a mix of a pure democracy. I mean, I think. Oh, no, I don't think a pure democracy is right, and I think a republic is much more of a stronger representation. And I think a democracy in which that republic can be formed is a good use.
Right now, a majority of people are wanting to take away guns. Is that okay?
No.
But then you're said but what you stopped agreeing. Why'd you stop agreeing with the republic? Let the republic work.
Because we vote on these people who are in there.
But a majority want the guns taken away. So
what? That's the great. That is the greatest reason why.
So
hold a second. You saying? Hold a second. Which? First of all, what poll are you talking about, and where was this information given? In which the majority of the country wants the guns taken away.
I didn't. I'm staying hypothetical. I'm going to say that.
Okay. Well.
And okay, I can pull up a CNN poll right now.
I mean, I know
that to happen, but nah, it's a hypothetical. Let's say a majority of people had voted for, the majority wanted representatives and senators that want to take guns away. Are you okay with that?
No. American citizen, I'm not okay with that.
Okay, but that's a part of a republic and how it works. You want the democracy to work because you make up the state, right?
Yeah.
But the state no longer is a good thing when you're the oppressed. Because with democracy in the state, there will always be an oppressed and an oppressor.
Wouldn't they go get the Constitution?
The Constitution means nothing now, since a majority can just change it.
Well, the thing about it is that what I remember, specifically after reading some of the Federalist Papers, which is a really good document, by the way, really good.
The Federalist Papers were ignored.
I would agree.
No, the anti-Federalist Papers. Which one didn't want the Constitution to be touched? I think it was the anti-Federalist.
Correct.
Who was Tommy? Who was Tommy J? He was an anti-Federalist, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so anything Thomas J spoke about Jeffersonianism, if you think that's okay, right, to not be done, then you're crazy, because the Constitution has been changed for years. If you think, but the Constitution matters, it doesn't. You can't. Free speech is being impeded on. Second Amendment rights have been impeded on. All gun rights are infringements of the Second Amendment.
Yeah, but at the same token, you have to understand that the Federalist Papers try to hold. We have the Constitution, we have the Declaration of Independence, and the Federalist Papers are basically like the historical context in which the closest resemblance of context that any of the founding fathers try to give when it comes to the Constitution, basically stating when something, in what context are we talking about? Why we have the right to bear arms? Why we have these specific things? Why?
Because they're natural rights. Because they're natural rights that should not be impeded on. That's why we have them. Not because the state allowed us to have them. Because we naturally have them. We were on a desert island. No one needs to tell me I can bear arms, or I can speak freely. I am able to speak freely. I'm able to take up arms. I am able to protect my property. That's why the only rights that matter are property rights, because you have the right to self-ownership, and you have the right to that means you have the right to your body and the natural rights that the Constitution had labeled out. When the state had allowed the changing of the natural rights given in the Bill of Rights, that is when we lost our rights. We don't control our rights anymore.
I have okay, I want to address the chat a little bit more. I let us go on a little bit of a side tangent there. Nate the Voluntarist says corporatism and capitalism are two separate things. Richard, would you agree with that? That corporatism and capitalism are two separate entities?
Yes, if they have two different definitions, then yeah.
What? That makes no sense. Big and let's say giant and enormous have two different definitions, but you can use them interchangeably.
So are capitalism so capitalism and corporatism the same thing?
No, but you can't tell the difference between it yourself.
Ooh, jab.
That's not a jab. You just can't. When I explain to you what corporatism is and how it's not capitalism, you still would call corporatism a mixed economy of capitalism and socialism. That's not
I was trying to say,
capitalism.
but I was trying to say, well, the question I was asking was what leads to what thing? What leads to a monopoly? And the thing that leads to a monopoly is when things like capitalism are being taken into for corporatism. So if I am if I am Apple, and let's say I'm organized by large interest groups, okay, and let's say that after that I am interested in I'm interested in by large interest groups, then basically what would happen here is that we could make a whole lot of money through capitalism, through a free market exchange of goods and ideas, and we would make a whole lot of money. The consumer do consumer index through basically all of our good finances and trade and things like that. We'd make a lot of money. We would get up there, and we would own about, let's say, 80% of the market when it comes to it's hyperbole. I mean, this is hypothetical. We own 80% of the market when it comes to phones, and after that, what would happen is that we would own a lot. We would own a lot of it, which could in turn create a significant portion of us owning that, creating something specifically towards or similarly to a monopoly.
I'm about to give you a fun fact about Android, and you're gonna be. Yeah, I'm gonna act, and you just keep talking, keep going on.
No, but that would never happen because you know.
No. Hold on. I'll let you.
But that would never happen because Android and BlackBerry and other phones would compete with them.
Android owns 81.7% of the phone market as of 2016. Is that a monopoly?
They own. I say, is it? That's what the reason why. That's the reason why I said at the end of it, close or if not a synonym or very similar to a monopoly.
If I may intervene, I thought we kind of already addressed this one point right here.
I thought we did too. He brought it.
Yeah, I thought Richard earlier admitted that owning 80% of the market is not a monopoly.
Yeah, I did.
He said it's close to a monopoly, so it's basically a monopoly. That's what he's saying.
No, it's not. If I just said that's why. Whole second, it's kind of like how you basically just said, is it a giant and enormous if it's two different things, then don't they mean the same thing? It's the same thing. Like I was trying to say, yeah, it's not a monopoly, but they do own a very specific, exclusive portion of the phone industry market.
Then what's wrong with it? What's wrong with it?
So greed cannot come up from that.
They can't. If phone companies don't want to use Android OS, Android OS, what now? Now what? They want to buy more phones. They want to produce. They want more people to use their OS. How are they going to get those people to use their OS? That's what I'm asking.
Can greed stem from that? Is the question.
Greed stems from everything. Why do you do?
I know that, but the question.
Yeah, I just told you. Yeah, yes, greed can stem from it. But what can they do about it?
Wait, let Richard address some of the points.
Go ahead.
Then what leads to that? Then when that greed comes up, how does that intervene with the federal government system?
Oh my God, Rick, bro. Oh, okay. So, what I said before, capitalism and corporatism are not the same thing.
I know that. That's why I just
No, stop. Let me talk.
Wait, Corey, if you feel like you must elaborate more, then go on.
Okay. When you have big business and big government, that is not capitalism, that is corporatism. When corporatism gets into influences the government, the state, they are able to stagnate competition and take over markets. All right. Capitalism is free markets. Corporatism is government regulated markets. Okay. When a corporatist, let's say, are greedy, they can just buy into the state. The moment they buy into the state and push regulations, they are no longer capitalists, because for capitalism to work, they would need the voluntary exchange of goods and services by two or more parties in a free market. Free market. Government regulated markets are not free. When you say greed rises in a capitalist society, which would mean they need a free market, not a state regulated market, that means they have to make better products to make more money. They can't just use a freebie and just buy competition stopping magic papers, okay? All that red tape that Trump said he was going to cut, he's still allowing to be put in. All right.
I also want to say that we're at the 1 hour mark, a little bit past it. We want to like wrap things up or not. I'll let you guys be the deciders of that.
All right. Well, let's talk about some other things other than corporatism, capitalism, and monopolies. We'll talk about something else that we can.
Foreign policy.
Oh, you just. Yeah,
Are you an interventionist?
that we should intervene in other countries?
Yes.
No.
No. You say no. Are you sure?
I'm sure we shouldn't intervene in other countries' problems.
The war in the war on terrorism. Do you agree with that?
Richard, stop grating cheese and answer the question.
No.
No. You don't agree with the war on terror.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
So you think we should just be non-interventionist and only fight defensive wars?
Yes.
How did you change your position so fast?
What do you mean?
Ricky, I swear, last time we spoke, you said that if a company, not a company, a country, right, is a likely threat, but they're not threatening the U.S. If they're like a likely threat, we should intervene and stop them. Like if a country is fighting another country, invading another country, which we should sanction them and do different things to intervene in that war. And now you're against that position.
When did I say that?
When a couple months back, last time I actually like spoke to you about foreign policy.
Yeah, I've changed.
You changed, so you're no longer a neocon.
No.
So you don't agree with like John McCain anymore?
No.
No.
Nah, he's cool. He's dead. No, I joke with you. No. No, I don't think
so. Can you on this live stream, can you disavow Trump for his interventionism? Because you call yourself a Trump supporter. Can you disavow him?
I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a sometimes Trump guy. I'm not a Trump supporter.
Isn't that a Trump supporter?
No.
Don't you support him sometimes? Wouldn't that make you a Trump supporter?
I mean, if I may intervene, I can subjectively point out certain things with Trump that I do agree with, but there's a lot of stuff that I do disagree with him on.
Okay, I apologize. I did not mean to mislabel you.
So I'm sometimes Trump type of guy.
Okay.
You know.
Can you disavow him now?
Well, even though so some of the things that I disagree with him on
his interventionism.
Yeah, his intervention. I was about to say intervention.
Disavow him. Rip him apart. Disavow that man now.
And what specific things they intervene in? And tell me. Giving Ukraine weapons.
Syria, Ukraine. He's fighting a trade war with China. What happened with that? He told Israel, yeah, this is your land that you took. Yeah,
Made Jerusalem the capital.
Yeah.
If I may, address this, Nate says in the chat, Trump promised to get us out of Afghanistan. He went back on his promise.
He also said, was the Iraq war justified?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's one question. Two questions Nate actually has. This might be more geared towards Richard. First question: should we maintain an empire?
What do you mean by empire?
The United States Empire. You know, we have
So you maintain
bases.
being number one?
Yeah, should
Yeah,
we
okay.
try to?
Maintain being number one.
So
America's
oh, let Darkon talk. Let Darkon talk.
Okay, here's my observation of it. Being number one in military might doesn't necessarily mean maintaining an empire. When I think of maintaining an empire, I'm thinking of keeping a certain influence in countries, especially against the government of that country's own will.
agreed. That's why I
Yeah,
didn't say military. I didn't say number one in military.
no, he's talking. What he's talking about, because Rome was, let's say Rome was the number one European empire. They didn't just do that by being number one in military, because they got beaten in many wars before. They
Correct.
did that by just being the top
Right.
guys.
It's just their influence. Just America
Yeah,
as
by forcing their influence on other nations.
correct. Correct.
So, do you think what he's asking is, do you think the U.S. should be more influential on the world, or do you think the U.S. should step back from its world policing and different things like that, get rid
Stop
of its?
becoming
All right,
nationalist and become
Let's
more globalist.
re-say that, Richard. Sorry.
Stop becoming nationalist and become more globalist.
No,
What? That's not what he asked. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
No,
What,
I mean,
what
like,
he's asking, do
step
you
away from. We should take our top. We should come down with the rest of the world and try and just basically not try to impede our influence on other countries.
Yeah, he's asking, do you think that we should stop policing other countries?
Depends on what we're policing. What are we policing?
So are you saying, and if it's okay, we can intervene in that country's politics? If it's justified? You said, what are we policing? So I'm not going to. So let's say a country
Let
just
me tread
got.
back on my claim of interventionism.
Oh my goodness! Woo.
I'm treading back on my claim of interventionism. When it comes to intervening, it depends on what circumstance we're intervening in and why it has to be made that we have to intervene. That's my stance on it.
All right. Well, then let's bring up an example as we move on to Nate's second question. Was the Iraq War justified? Do you think that bit of interventionism was justified?
I don't have too much knowledge on the Iraq War.
Okay, from your layman's perspective and low amount of information that you definitely know about it, do you think that it was justified or unjustified?
Well, I keep hearing one of the biggest things about George Bush's presidency is that we shouldn't have intervened or we shouldn't have even went to the Iraq War.
Okay, so you think that we shouldn't have gone into Iraq?
No, because we shouldn't have. Because I mean, it's evident that Saddam Hussein, he didn't have massive weapons of destruction. He never had any. He didn't have anything. Even the government, right. I don't know what department, but the Department of I can't think of
Defense.
Right. Yeah, basically even said that there wasn't any. Literally blatantly said there was not any weapons of mass destruction that we can see from right at this point. And we went over there and we tried to overthrow Saddam. And after we did that, it's just like, okay, well, why are we literally came in here to stop a person who had so-called weapons of mass destruction, but didn't even have them to even begin with.
Okay, so when do you think intervention is okay?
When it can possibly affect America.
Like?
In what way?
Economy.
Anything can affect America's economy.
You're right, but we're talking about have a significant impact on a detrimental effect on the of the economy. It depends on significance of how much it can affect the economy for America to come and intervene. It depends on how much, for example, we intervened when it came to giving Russia weapons for World War II to fight Adolf Hitler. We gave him We gave Joseph Stalin weapons, even though Joseph Stalin was not a great friend or admirer of the United States of America.
Was that okay?
Huh?
Was World War II justified? Us fighting in World War II?
Us giving weapons to Joseph Stalin?
No, our intervention into World War II, was that justified?
Yeah, it's the only one I can see as being justifiable. It's one of the only ones I can see as being justifiable, and the only reason specifically why is the same reason of why my statement of the thing where my claim where I say that America never does what's good versus what's bad. It does what's bad versus what's more bad. So basically, in this situation, you could either A, give weapons to Joseph Stalin, give the people of Russia weapons to fight Adolf Hitler. If not, Adolf Hitler goes over, which I'm pretty sure he had the power to do. Take over.
What? What did he have power to do?
Take over Russia. He could have beat Joseph Stalin.
Okay, so here's why World War II wasn't justified. Okay, first off, the U.S. gave supplies to its allies. Who asked them to? The U.S. was supplying Great Britain, France, and the many of their allies who also are very interventionist countries. They also put tariffs onto Japan, who, like you said, that's drastically affecting their economy because they were very reliant on the oil being imported and exported out, right? So they justifiably attacked America, right? Do you think that's justified? Japan's attack on America was justified.
Because of how we affected their economy?
Yeah, drastically, like you said.
Is it right, morally right? No. It was justified? Yes.
So you're an interventionist for economic reasons. So the U.S. was the U.S. the aggressor, or was Japan the aggressor?
How did we affect their oil one more time?
We put tariffs on them, heavy tariffs that affected their economy because they were very reliant on that oil.
And Japan was fighting who at the time?
The Allies, because they were fighting Russia, Great Britain, France.
So instead of imposing heavy tariffs, someone else just come by and bomb us.
Well, you just said they were justified because we drastically affected their economy, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that that when it comes to being the aggressor, it seems like the aggressor would have. By aggressor, you mean the person who basically made the conflict happen to arise to begin with.
Yeah, that's the aggressor. So if I say, hey, all right, so yeah, you're fired. You work for me. I'm gonna say, all right, yeah, I don't like that you keep arguing with what's his name, so I'm gonna keep him, but you're fired. I'm affecting your money, right? All right, and I'm justified, right? Because you keep arguing, but I keep arguing with your people too. I'm the one arguing with your people, and you're also arguing against those people. And I say, you know what? You're fired. You're just fired.
So America would be the aggressor, basically.
Yeah, America's the aggressor.
Yeah.
We coaxed them. We wanted them to attack us so we can formally declare war without the people being mad. Was that okay? We intervened in World War II. We put tariffs on Japan. We ran guns to France and Great Britain and Russia. We allowed.
World War II was the one with Pearl Harbor, correct?
Huh? Yeah. What?
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, I haven't gotten a history course in a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Basically, because at the time the president wasn't FDR.
Yeah.
Who knew about Pearl Harbor about weeks before it even happened.
Yeah.
And with that
they wanted that to happen. They wanted that to happen because Japan said they were going to do it. They start doing chatter, and they said the best way to do it is attacking the U.S. And then we heard their chatter, we translated it, we knew they were going to attack, and did nothing because we wanted them to bring us into that war. We've been waiting for a country to bring us into that war because we started intervening by giving guns and supplies to the Allies.
Correct.
Is that okay?
I mean, the what is it? The military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
Trying to.
Was World War I justified? Was Vietnam? Was Korea? Was
World War I was never justified. We never even had to go into that war. World War I was never justified. Korean War was never justified. The Vietnam War was never justified. We never had to go into that war. the
Okay, so the U.S. fought all these unjustified wars. What other than economic reasons is okay to intervene? Because we intervene in these countries' affairs so many times. We intervene in South America so badly, they're on the verge of not knowing what to do about their countries. They're full of socialists fighting for socialism because Che Guevara and Fidel Castro were able to push propaganda in there that show.
Corey,
Oh, I'm sorry. I
you asked
apologize.
a question a lot earlier. I'd like to give Rich the opportunity to answer it.
Okay, go ahead.
Something about when is war justified other than economic reasons?
Yep.
That's a question, Garnet. That's a question to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
When is war justified other than economic reasons? The only time wars ever the only time wars can ever be justified if I'm looking from if I'm the leader of a country's if I'm the leader of a whole entire country, if I'm looking at it from that perspective or point of view, the only time when it's ever justified is when basically you can see if, let's say, a war is happening between Russia and China, hypothetically, a war is happening between Russia and China, and if Russia beats China, well, Russia will have control over China and be able to maximize economically and warfare-wise. They're able to maximize greatly. This can, or let's just say, they have a chance to, what's the word? Align with each other. I mean, not align, but basically be able to be allies together.
So
the only time it's ever when war is okay is when you can see an impeding a bigger superpower than you, possibly getting up. And America does it all the time. When a possible superpower is on its way to being bigger than you, then you go in and you just break them down.
If we may break this down, so basically you think that war is justified if an opposing country, they're growing in military power. That's when war is justified, to prevent them from growing any bigger.
And you can see them basically trying to, and everything, and every sign is pointing towards them.
Wait. So answer yes or no.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the debater here, but I kind of disagree with that bit of logic.
Well, the whole second, the thing I was trying to state with that even being said was that America does this thing all the time. America does it every single time they see a specific power by to grow and come into power. And when it grows and comes into power, that's the reason why I said to you, I'm looking at it in a perspective view of being a leader of a country, because a specific leader of a country who is number one to even begin with does this. Kings do this. People who are presidents do this. And people who are in leads of bigger powers from other nations do this all the time. That's the reason why I said I looked at it from a perspective of being the leader of a country or a nation. If I'm looking at it from being the perspective of a person who is a human being living in the country or nation, no, I do not feel war is justified only when it comes to economic gain. So it's a two-part answer. One, I feel that way if I'm a leader. Two, I feel that way if I don't feel that way if I'm a person of just living in the country. I feel like only war is justified when it comes to economic reasons.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to stop it right there. And Nate says something in the chat, says, the wars you win are the wars you don't start. And he asks a question for both of you, too. And I'm going to answer this question myself as well. So all three of us. Do you know anything about Israel's attack on the USS Liberty in 1951? Honestly, the first time that I have heard it was Nate's live stream number 2. That was the first time.
Yep.
No.
I do. I know a lot about it, actually. Basically, to put it, it was Israel's attempt at getting the U.S. to join their war by attacking the USS Liberty with their own ship, pretending to be, I think it was Egypt. When they fought Egypt, you know, the 6-Day War, is that it? When they fought Egypt, they were trying to get the U.S. to join in that war. But let's say you said economic reasons.
So they were pretending to be Egyptians when they attacked the USS Liberty.
So it was gonna do what they did with Vietnam. So Vietnam started when a ship we joined Vietnam when a plane had attacked the U.S. ship because we love to fight for our navy. If you attack any of our ships, we go into war. That we got like the Lusitania, the Maine. It's just we love to protect that navy. But in Vietnam, it was shown that the plane that attacked that ship was a allied plane. Was a plane that we knew about. Was not even a Vietnam plane. The Israel attack on the USS Liberty was their attempt to get the US to fight a quote unquote justified interventionist war, even though they were already intervening with showing naval force and giving them supplies because they love Israel. They were already intervening. Do you think I'm gonna go off what Nate said. Do you think that's okay? That's justified.
Are you asking me that question?
Do you think the Israel attacking U.S. ship to get us to join is justified because their country was on the line for economic reasons?
No.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Are you sure? They needed us
because it only comes for economic. The only thing about being a nationalist is it only comes for when war should be done when it comes to us.
So defensive wars aren't justified just as long as you.
As long as we as a country get the benefit.
So are you an interventionist or not? Because you kept flip flopping.
I didn't. I did a two-part answer.
Because you said no, and then you said yeah, it's okay for economic reasons, and then you said as a leader, and you said as a human. So which one do you think is okay? Do you think interventionism is okay? That's what I want to know. Yes or no? Just yes or no.
When it comes to the economics, yes.
And by the way, I say, oh boy, not out of any perceived outrageousness that I think of either of you. I say, oh boy, because we're going to get extended on longer.
Yeah, no. After this, can I ask a quick question? Can I raise a brow?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, can I ask a question? And, I don't think I've ever asked a question. Like for us to answer. Okay. Basically, I only believe in intervening when it has to be justified that we have to have a strong economy. That is the only time when I ever believe it is okay to intervene.
You sound like
it also depends on the specific situations in which we do it in. It just depends on the reason why it's so hard, or the reason why you think I keep flip flopping is because when it comes, it depends on what the situation is. Like it really just depends for me the situation in which we should intervene. Because it's never just for me, when America does it, and which I looked upon, it's always been from a one-sided coin. It's either A or it's either B. But when it comes to me, it's like a whole different like A, B, C. If this happens to D, if this happens, like it's just like a whole different specific amount of things.
There's nothing complex about interventionism. You're not a part of that war. Why are you getting you're not even a part of a war. The country has nothing to do with you because you're your own country. Why are you getting into their political life and their politics? Why are you intervening? Do you think it's okay? Did you think it was okay for Russia to intervene in our election? They're intervening because they want to be number one. They're number 3, but they want to be number 1. Is it okay? They're not number 3. They're top 10, I think. I don't know. They're somewhere, but they want to be number 1, right? It's economic reasons. They want to put a guy who will help them get the number 1. Was that justified? Was that intervention into our election okay?
Get the number 1 because he hasn't helped them get the number 1 at all.
He lifted the sanctions. He didn't renew the sanctions on Russia. That's going to help their economy.
He did the sanctions on Russia.
He did?
Yes.
Show me.
It's one of the first things he does. What do you mean by show you?
As in, he's pulling a teal deer. He's all like, citation needed.
Oh, okay. And also, he gave the 5,000 people of Ukraine weapons to defend them against Russia. So it'd be very hard to make the claim that he's doing this to help out Russia when I don't see how he's helped out Russia one time.
You sure? You sure about that?
Nate, can you give me a time when Trump helped out Russia's president?
Flynn proposed sanction relief deals while working for Trump. Okay. The EU did it. EU. I see nothing about the US. Oh, wait. It says U.S. sanctions and protectionism strengthens bonds between Russia and China. Okay.
That would make sense because you can't. Okay.
Okay. Did real estate deal and influence Trump's view on Russian sanctions?
Because he had it. Because he had a tower behind at the time.
U.S. sanctions brings Kremlin, Russian oligarchs closer together. Okay. So he did. Oh, wait. Okay. I retract my statement. There you go. Russian sanctions aren't lifted, but think about this though. Do you think Putin, when he had Russia interject in our election, did you think he could get Trump to be on his side?
Yes. I think
yes. Is that okay? Wait, whoa, wait, stop. Is that okay?
No, it's undermining our election. But the question I have is,
wait, that's for they want to be the big guys. They want to be up there. You just said it's only justified when they want to, for economic reasons, they want to be the best, right? Russia, if the U.S. wants to stay the best, why can't Russia do what it needs to be the best?
I retract my statement from the economy thing and switched over to my statement, like I said before, about the whole entire. There are many different things where I would come in.
There's nothing complex about it. It's you're either an interventionist or you're not.
I would differ. I would differ on that argument.
Ricky,
that it depends.
If you're having a beef with somebody, right? If you're arguing with somebody, would it be okay for me to join that person's side and just fuck you up? I apologize for my language and just mess you up.
No, but if you're my friend,
I don't give a flying rat's cunt if you want to curse on my debate stream.
but like I said before, there's different factors. Are you my friend or are you not my friend? Do you have an important role in my life or do you not have?
What does it matter? I'm intervening. So you're just gonna be like, well,
that I think you should take or not.
He's fighting. He's just gonna be on the other side. That's just intervention for you. If I go to that person's side and I help them fight you, is that okay? It has nothing to do with me. I just see you guys.
There's factors to be accounted for when we intervene in other countries. It's the reason why when a person asks or when we say, why do we have to go into this country? They give the factors the reason why we have to get the country.
Okay. Whoa. I think that we should put this to a close very soon. Otherwise, we're gonna go all night long.
Okay.
It's been an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. Yep, that's good. That's plenty of time to stop.
I just want to ask my question real fast.
Ask it. Last question.
Okay, last question. Okay. So, in my opinion, and we can do I'm okay because that's the one question I wanted to actually ask. Okay. Do you think Donald Trump has done a better job in his first 2 years as president as Barack Obama?
No. He said he was going to. Did he drain the swamp? No, he made it worse. Did he get rid of the protectionist policies? No, he added on more. Did he stop saying he's going to intervene and bring our troops home? No, he brought more there. What?
All right. So now we're going to go to 5-minute closing statements. I mean, unless you guys really want to go on longer. Otherwise.
Really? I really do. I'm joking with you.
Well, you're the one that asked for a time limit, but we are far over the time limit now.
Yeah.
But
and Darkon wants to watch his movies, his TV show.
The Orville, yeah.
It's a great.
Yeah, this debate has been kind of it's been kind of what's the word that I'm looking for?
Mediocre?
No, not mediocre. It's been kind of impromptu, I guess is the word.
True.
Yeah, it was pretty sudden.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Richard wants to debate me right now. I need a moderator, and then I just came to. Because I want to legitimately moderate more debates. Honestly.
Oh yeah.
Because I've noticed how other people moderate debates, and I think it kind of sucks, just to be honest.
No lie.
Not naming names, and it's fairly simple to do. You just got to learn how to put your foot down. But honestly, I think in my personal opinion that this was one of the debates that I did the worst on as far as putting my foot down. But anyway,
2 previous debates, so I couldn't answer that question.
But okay, well, I've moderated some previous debates. If you look at my Strike Force playlist, there's some debates with the 2 icons with a versus signal with a versus symbol in between them, and that's what I'm going to do with YouTube for the thumbnail. But anyway,
But may I say something real fast, Mr. Dark?
Yes, Richard. What's your question?
Not a question, statement.
Is it something political?
No, of course it is. But I'm joking. Just real quick, real fast though. Can I say it real fast?
Sure. I mean, if this is going to be something political and tying in with the subjects, I'm going to start your timer for closing statements. But if it's something not related to the subjects, then go ahead.
Start the timer.
All right. So, closing statement for Richard, aka GeekishGamerShow, starting now.
I think personally, in my personal opinion, I'm just gonna continue where I left off. I think personally, in my personal opinion, Donald Trump has been way far of a better president in his first 2 years of presidency than Obama ever has, or in my opinion, right now, as if 8 years even come along. Even if Donald Trump has hit 4 years, I still think he did a better president in 4 years than Obama ever did in 8 years. I'm saying that specifically because of multiple reasons. Well, for one, I'm saying that for one, it was because one, as just not even blurring the lines here, Obama was much more of a globalist. Trump was much more of a nationalist. Cares more about his country. Obama clearly does not show that he cares a lot more about his country. The man wouldn't even name Islamic terrorism as a wording because of his sympathetic ties to Islam. The thing about it is, at the same token, what has to be understood is that Donald Trump did a great job, and I like to say that's the reason why I told you before I don't like to put presidents on the economy as a one whole thing. But he has done a great job at maintaining the economy. He has very low unemployment here, maintaining that very well. Low unemployment in the blacks, very low here. Imposes sanctions sanctions on Russia, and it's also very keen on giving weapons to Ukraine to fight against Russia. That's it right there. Very brutally, and I would say this at the end of the day, not very the brightest man when it comes to wording, but he knows what to say because when the American people say it is. I remember one time when he said when he was there at a rally one time, he said, "You're going to get so tired of winning. You're going to get so tired of winning that by the time you're winning, you're going to get so tired. You're going to get so tired that when you want to win, you're just going to get tired. You're going to be like, Donald, I'm winning too much." And you're going to be like, "It doesn't matter. We're going to keep winning." And I was like, man, he's right. I'm kind of tired of winning. I mean, we have a 4.1% GDP rate. We had low unemployment, low black unemployment rate. We had a lot of things going on great, specifically because they literally said that he was going to do terrible as a president and he was going to do the worst things as president. I remember hearing that he was going to take back black people back to Africa, which sounded asinine and fucking stupid. But at the end of the day, with that being said, the man's he's governed a lot conservative than I thought he was going to do. And also that being said, at the end of the day, he is like I like to say, which is the problem I have with the Republican Party, he isn't weak. He's aggressive. He's been aggressive for a very long period of time towards people who are in the party and people who are outside of us in other foreign countries. You can see this dealing with Mexico, dealing with China, and even dealing with Russia. But at the end of the day, he was far more of a great president than Obama. Why? Because Obama was a globalist. Obama obviously agreed when globalists think of not putting America at the top. They want to make America come down to the bottom and lay with the rest of the people. And America does not need to lay with the rest of the people because America is the richest nation in the world. When I say it's the richest nation, I don't mean by wealth. I mean by just having the nutrients and the materials that are in our country and the Constitution itself that make the countries and other countries look like asses compared to us. Because we are the number one country in the world and we are the best country in the world compared to a lot of other countries in the world. And even when I ask people today when they can give me Canada or Europe or other countries like Sweden or Poland or New Zealand, it still does not hold up to a kind of regard, basically how the America is better than all of them. Because last time I checked, when people are getting poor, they don't talk about how I want to come to Russia or China, I want to come to America. And the reason why is because even at the end of the day, even America at its lowest, suckiest point is still better than a lot of other countries in the world. So that being said, Obama wasn't really that great of a president. Obama was I still think Trump is better president than Obama. How much time do I have left? Moderator.
All right, so that's it.
I said how much time do I have left, moderator?
All right. So anyway, with about 1 minute 15 seconds to spare, we will move on to Corey's 5-minute ending statement.
How much time did I have left, moderator? That's a lot. I just kept asking that question.
Oh, my bad. I'll start you at.
He wants to keep going.
You want to keep going? I guess I'll start
on that level.
All right, I'll start you back up at 110. Go.
Okay. So at the end of the day, no matter which way you look at, Obama just wasn't that great of a president, in my personal opinion. And at the end of the day, he's been not that aggressive as a president. He was very cocky and arrogant, just like President Trump was. But he also had the media up his ass like 24/7, telling every good thing he ever did for the country every single day. And this is the reason why the oldest playbooks in the world is saying that he's the reason why the economy is going very well. It's very, very easy to make a person look very bad and very good when the media is telling all this bad stuff, even claiming that one person's a Nazi versus the other person just being a guardian angel sent from heaven to help out the country. So that being said, also race relations got worse under President Obama. But anyway, with that being said, it's been a really good debate.
30
really
seconds.
Appreciate it. Huh?
30 seconds.
It's been a really great debate. Thank you, Corey. As always, I'm going to go back to the drawing board and look at many things that you said today and look back at them like I always do. And really good intellectual debate. And very impromptu, as the moderator has said before. Thank you, and that's it.
All right. So with that said, we will go to Corey's 5-minute end statement. Corey, you ready?
Yep.
Starting now.
Trump has added trillions of dollars to the debt. He came into the presidency at 19.9 trillion. He's currently at 21 trillion, and by the time of his presidency ends, he's going to give the U.S. about 8.3 trillion dollars worth of debt. Me as a person, I believe interventionism is horrible, protectionism is horrible, and it impedes on people in a free market, and it stops them from actually doing what a free market needs you to do, and that's be free. Trump is not allowing that to happen, and many politicians of the world are not allowing that to happen. France is feeling the fist of the people who may have some very socialist ideals, but they are at least fighting against taxation for petty things such as, I think it's carbon. But in reality, no one will tell you that the Constitution is great, okay? Because they either they think it should be reworked, or they think it should go back to Jeffersonianism. No one's going to tell you right now, as Trump is allowing the impediment of our Second Amendment rights by the banning of bump stocks to go through. He's going to let you be free. That is not okay. The Constitution, if we're going to live in this state, the Constitution should be followed back to its purest form, back what the founding fathers wanted. No more of this modernization, because that's only going to bite you in the ass. When you get older and you see the world as it is, as more of a plaything by the state and its friends all across it, you will realize that the state should be abolished and the people should be allowed to be free. Ricky, I say thank you for this debate. Say Darkon, thank you for the debate. People in the comments, thank you for the debate. My stance on capitalism won't change, and hopefully you actually look into what corporatism is and what crony capitalism is, and not label capitalism corporatism anymore, and you look into what interventionism is and how detrimental it is to the people. Look what we done in South America. Look what we did to the Middle East. Look what we done to Europe. Look what we did to the world. The U.S. is not a great country when it's killing thousands of innocents every year. That is all.
All right, so with 2.5 minutes, that's his ending statement. And for everyone in the chat, yes, I will say thanks for contributing questions, especially you, Nate the voluntarist. And thanks, Corey, for bringing up the idea of this debate and asking for a moderator for me to jump at the opportunity. And Geekish Gamer Show, aka Richard, it was nice to meet you. And thank you for participating in this to debate Corey. And so I hope to do more of these debates in the future. And yeah, we debated foreign policy, economics, a lot more economics than I originally thought, but we did. So anyway, I am your moderator and host, Zach the Dark Conservatarian, and hope to see you all later. God bless. See you all later. Bye-bye.